Here on Real Spill, we don't just rub shoulders, but we get the story behind the headlines of movers and shakers in Namibia's arts and entertainment industry. Now, we cannot have this conversation without involving the bodies who shape and represent Namibian arts and artists. On today's episode, we are joined by Cicely Jacobs, the Executive Manager of the Namibia Arts Association, and we're talking all things happening from projects to what we can expect from the association. Cicely Jacobs, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me here, Ms. Kamati.
It's a great pleasure. So let's talk a bit about, the background that you have. You come from a legal background, and particularly your focus is on intellectual property. Why did you decide to take this route when it comes to law?
Wow. Well, we're going to just start off with the heavy questions. Well, I suppose for me, it started off in law school. I would say it was a fated union. During our final year, you have this very incidental electives you have to choose. And just having read a synopsis of intellectual property course, I just thought this is something I have to do. And then the first class just ignited something in me. I came alive. I am very much interested in people, ideas, and how societies evolve, and that is really the intersection where IP exists, because it's law, it's business, it's innovation, and it's creativity that come together. And so it just became this perfect fit, and that fire just continued burning, so I had to go and do my master's in it. And I'm certainly very passionate about art and culture. I think it is very beautiful, but it also reflects the divinity of our Creator. And I believe for most things that the art has always been at the pioneer stages of where we go as people, as a civilization, and just as human beings.
Yes. And there's nothing better than seeing musicians and artists empowered by people who are passionate about the industry as well. And these are people like yourself. You've worn so many hats within Namibia's creative industry, working along the ranges of film, visual arts, etc. What is one lesson that you think every creative needs to know when it comes to protecting their work?
Well, there is a paradox in IP, but I believe the first thing to understand is you need to protect your work from the get-go when you have a creative project. This simply means keeping records of your work, do not assume agreements, verbal or otherwise, having written agreements, understanding your rights, protecting them, and ensuring that you also have an ability to commercialize it. So there are a few lessons I think I have seen with my own clients in the practice, is that because of the pressures of, I suppose, capitalistic communities that we live in, artists would go for short-term projects, and that is all very well. You just need to understand that you have to have contracts in place that clearly stipulate your rights, what you are going to do, and what you are transferring, and the cost of it. And most of the times this has been to the detriment of the artist. So that has been the biggest lesson, I think, for myself, I suppose, learning in the industry, and for the artists who are experiencing this sort of situation.
Yeah. And now you get to sort of stand in the gap between, artists and policy, and making sure that their work is protected. Let's talk about the institution that you are now leading. So that is the Namibian Arts Association. Many people have probably heard of the name before, but might not know what exactly does this institution stand for. Take us behind the scenes.
Well, the Namibian Arts Association is one of the oldest institutions in Namibia, and it is a non-profit these days, and it is member-based. It has always been around to promote and preserve arts and culture in Namibia, and is a custodian and a steward of the largest arts association heritage trust collection that boasts around 1,440 plus minus works. And these have been collected and been curated since 1948, so that's like 75 years, so it's a long, long time. And but more recently, under new leadership and governance structures, there is also new strategic direction and mission, which is really to advance the role of art in Namibia as a natural resource, and also to elevate the artist community. And so we do this through our main 3 strategic pillars, which is to platform, safeguard, and professionalize. And so really the organization has been created for public interest, right? And for the member and what benefits them the most.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you talk a lot about, membership. What sort of services, in layman's terms, does the association offer to its members? Do you collect and distribute the members' art, or what exactly is it that members have to gain by being part of the Namibian Arts Association?
Well, I mean, I suppose membership goes beyond supporting the institution. It is voluntary, first of all, but we've also sort of revived the membership tiers and its structure, and whether it's from the emerging artists to the complete corporate and the in-between of enthusiasts, philanthropists, partner institutions, and also the established artists, we have something for everybody. And so we provide growth tiers for partnerships. And membership is not just about creating a community for the arts sector, but it is what do we provide that gives them benefit. These mean their access to the association, its archive, its collection, its library, having facility to come and work there. Obviously, Wi-Fi is always great. I believe it's a human right now, human right. And we have discounts not for only our events or programs or merchandise and whatever we are selling, most of which are typically free, but when there is, you would get a discount as a member, but also discount with our partner suppliers or service providers. And so you can have that. Your voting rights at the annual general meeting, which means you have critical input into who runs the place, right, from the board to obviously myself and my operations team. So you have all this input that you can make, but you are also part of a bigger network, exhibition opportunities, workshops, and the sort of artistic development programs that we have, where we would always give a little bit of a privilege to the members. So yes, the membership is all growing and it's all expanding, and it is a sense of community. Yes. As far as we see it at the Namibian Arts Association.
All right. Now, earlier you made mention of the Heritage Trust Collection as well, which is one of the bigger projects that the Namibian Arts Association is responsible for. What is the idea behind this collection, and what actually does it entail?
So this collection, it's literally called the Arts Association Heritage Trust, and that under that is this collection. And this collection has been curated since 1948, and it has been collecting works since that time, some of the oldest works, even older than 1948. We have works of John Mafengeo, which is a prominent Namibian artist, Trudy Diggs, even contemporary art that we are collecting now. But critical to that is when this trust was established, which was in 2007, it was understood that it should be under a certain type of protection that is for public interest, right? And so that it does not disappear into just private collection, because it speaks to the Namibian story before independence, during colonization, post-independence even. And so it encapsulates the story of our struggle, our celebrations, our identity. So it's very critical for it to be, first of all, collected, to be preserved, and then now to be made available to the public, because again, it is in the public interest. And so by doing that, right now the bigger project for this collection is that we are digitizing it. So there is a curatorial valuation taking place, and this entire collection is going to be accessioned, looked at as far as its condition is concerned, and then put online. And a significant portion of it is already online. This is an ongoing project. As you can see, it is a lot of work, works, I suppose, 1,440, and it takes time, but so far with our new website that has been launched, you have access to some of the works that have already been captured. And this creates an opportunity for research, for archive standards, and also just pure enjoyment and education for the Namibian. It is part of our culture, and we all have the right to a cultural life.
Yes. And in essence, who owns this work? Is it now government property?
Right, this is owned by the trust, and so that question of ownership is
It's a tricky one.
it's a tricky one, but it's also a technical one, and the public owns it, and that's why it is put in trust. Governments change, institutions, whether private or public, change, but something about the trust and its legal system and infrastructure ensures that there is that sort of barriers that are in place that cannot be encroached by either government or even by a private or public company. So it is really truly owned by the public in that sense.
Oh, brilliant. All right, so we know now that the Heritage Trust and all its works is owned by you and me as Namibians and as a collective. So in this conversation, we're getting to know what exactly the Namibian Arts Association has been up to, and after the break, we'll get into their future projects.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
Today's conversation is on visual arts and intellectual property. I'm sitting right next to Ms. Cicely Jacobs. She is the executive manager of the Namibian Arts Association. So one of the most exciting projects that have been recently rolled out has been, making waves on social media as well. And you see that there's a new energy from artists, is the Artist Development Program. Talk to us about, why you decided to roll out this program and the progress on this program so far.
Wow, we are very, very, very excited about this pilot initiative. Obviously, we want it to be a stable throughout. And the Artist Development Program is more than what you would do for a workshop. It is a continuous, over several months, of 5 visual artists, mid-level, which means at least 5 years into their practice, taking part in this program. And what it really provides is studio space, materials, a stipend, mentorship, not only on your discipline and your technique, but also on professional development, understanding the industry, understanding business skills, understanding market pricing, intellectual property. And so overall entrepreneur that you are as an artist, and also just general industry exposure. And this will roll out from August into November, and finally led by the Namibian Arts Association Gallery, where there will be an exhibition of the works that were created during this period. The Directorate of Arts, Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sports, Arts and Culture have come on board as partners to support the rollout of this program, which is very, very great, because it shows also not just the speak that has been about supporting the creative industry, but that, that they've actually done this. And so we are very excited. Of course, today being the 22nd, yesterday this application closed, and we've had a lot of interest, and soon we will have the 5 announced that will be taking part of this project. Yeah.
All right, so what does success of this project look like to you, Ms. Jacobs?
Well, we are looking at what does a professional look like. So firstly, we want a significant amount of works created, and by significant you have to look at obviously both quantity and quality. And these words are very, very difficult to understand when it comes to art itself. What do you consider qualitative work? And I mean, quantity can speak for itself. And so we would at least want a significant amount of work from each artist to exhibit, firstly, so that they have actually done the artwork, right, created it, that they have committed to the project. So this is why there is this encouragement with the stipend and free materials and studio space, so that they do not feel the pressures of normal life, so that they have this safe, creative space to work in. And so that commitment is critical. That's why we want artists that have done at least work consistently throughout 5 years at least, because that shows their own commitment, right? So that is very critical. We wanted to see the artist take, we would like to actually take this artwork to other markets, right? Whether they are regional here in SADC or otherwise internationally. What we will also see as a success is a success story of any of the artists that take place, that take part in this project. So that means, have they found another project? Have they been able to sustain this momentum in the next year or two and continuously? So, and then the interest of the project itself to become a stable. We do not want to do this as a once-off thing. We want certainly to have this as an annual program, and much longer and also more diversified, not just visual arts, but performing arts, multimedia, many other disciplines that form part of the larger and richer creative sector.
Lovely. And I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, there has been a lot of interest, and the interest is only going to grow as time goes by. But for this pilot, so to say, edition of the program, are there maybe any mentors that people can look forward to seeing as part of the project? If there's any info that you can give us at this stage?
No. I cannot spill the beans, not yet. Certainly not because of anything other than strict confidentiality, and I would not be a lawyer if I had to do that. But yes, we will announce those soon too, and yes, they will come particularly where it comes to technique mentorship, they will obviously come from the artists that have a bit of gravitas in the industry here. And so that is certainly exciting,
Okay.
not just for us, but for them. And
Yes.
I think for the entire community, because part of the program that we have built in is that the public will have some engagement, studio visits. There will be midway reviews where there can be a little bit more conversation about the creative process that is taking place.
Lovely. Okay. I tried to push it just a little bit, but Ms. Jacobs is not going to budge. So you'll definitely have to keep up with their social media to find out who is going to be, you know, mentoring these artists and what more can be expected out of this project. So we speak a lot, Ms. Jacobs, about growing the creative industry and, you know, nurturing arts in the country. So what, according to you, are some of the setbacks that we have when it comes to the growth of this industry?
Well, I mean, Namibian artists do not lack talent. We certainly have remarkable artists, but we have an ecosystem issue, certainly. So institutions, sustainable funding, general investment, infrastructure. And so when you speak to this, you need to understand that there is a symbiotic relationship between the ecosystem and the artist. So those are some of the setbacks. Certainly there has been more development insofar as the government is concerned, more prioritization of the sector. There has also been more increased conversation about the contribution and recognition of the creative economy and to the general GDP. But we certainly need more research, we need more documentation, we need statistics and accessibility for the industry. So I believe the ecosystem is where much of the work needs to be done. And if the ecosystem grows, the artist grows.
So those were some of the setbacks that we face when it comes to growing the creative industry. What would you say we're doing right?
Well, we didn't have the laws in place. We have policy. So last year, the National Arts, Culture and Heritage Policy was launched in 2025. We need policy implementation. We have been given responsibility, obviously, by the government as private institutions to take on some of this responsibility. And I think the Namibian Arts Association has done very well in taking on that responsibility. We are also busy with amendments to the intellectual property side of the legislation, so the Copyright Act, which is quite old, 1994, and so to update it to the sort of digital and otherwise technological world that we live in now. So those challenges are being addressed. We would like that to be sped up a bit, certainly, and there has been investment more significant than usual made by the administration in this financial year to the arts industry. So those are some good, indicators of where we are going. What we need to understand is that it has to be sustained, and we need more attention to infrastructure and education.
Absolutely agree with you. Now, lastly, before I let you go, I want to know your personal vision for the industry. So, decades from now, when the Namibian art story has been written, what would you like your contribution to have been?
I think leadership is building something that outlasts you or any individual. And so my focus would be in creating, I have certainly been very pushed by the idea of building better systems, whether it's for the artist, for the institutions, or for the community. And so if we build a ecosystem that is professional, that is protected, and that is valued for the future, then that is great. So what I would like to see in 5 years or much longer is a more professional, a more respected, a valued, and a sustainable industry and creatives that are flourishing.
Yes.
And so if that work is being done today, then that is the legacy that will matter then.
Brilliantly said. Thank you so much, Ms. Jacobs, for joining us. And be sure to keep up with the Namibian Arts Association and all the projects that they are rolling out. They are vibrant and full of energy, and they are definitely looking out for the artists. They have all these projects, a brand new website, exhibitions almost every week, and definitely more to come. Thank you so much for watching us here on Real Spill. We'll be right back next week, same time, same place.